Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and for this video, we're going to be going over my top 9 broken builds on patch 1.14. I went through, I checked out all of the changes, and it made the best builds for some of the coolest weapons and best weapons to use on 1.14. This is going to be a really informative video with a lot of amazing builds, including the Sword of Night and Flame, and also the best build yet that I've made for Rellana's Twin Blades. I've been messing with these weapons so much, finally made one that absolutely shreds with the magic part of the Ash of War. And I made possibly the best Moonveil build I've ever made yet. I can't wait to show this one to you guys. It does around 10,000 damage to the hippo later in the video. We're going to take on some DLC bosses too. This is my top 9 broken builds. We're going to start here with Wing Stance. So obviously the least broken one on this list, and if you use it in Blood Affinity, you'll probably get more DPS and damage overall, but I've been really enjoying this in Heavy Affinity. You get the two-handed bonus with the regular light moveset. When you mix that in, you could stack a lot of damage, and Wing Stance, when you use Rellana's cameo, can do a lot of damage. And the Light Greatsword moveset is incredible. The more I use it, the more I like it. I wish we were given more with the Light Greatswords, and I can only hope that if they do another linear Souls-like, or even Elden Ring 2 somewhere in the future, though that feels unlikely, we get a ton more in the Light Greatsword category. And this is because they really shine, but the big deal here is that Wing Stance is now increased substantially by Rellana's cameo. It has a 1-second delay instead of that 1.5 or 2-second delay to get the bonus from the cameo, and you can do a lot of damage with the Ash. The charge attack version does great damage, and it does a good amount of poise damage as well, and then you have the quicker version which can stack up successive hits really fast. When you combine that with the amazing moveset the weapon has, I really love Milady for a lot of situations and bosses. It's great in Heavy Affinity too because you could use that two-handed sword talisman to get that boost for your regular moveset. It's not going to affect the Ash of War, and then you get the two-handed bonus as well. So mixing in regular attacks is fantastic to combine with Wing Stance. No doubt out of all the ones on this list, this is definitely the least broken one because it doesn't depend on any real status effects or any major damage. It's just consistently good against the majority of bosses in the game, and it's one I'm using more and more. I highly recommend trying it out. No question about it. You're going to enjoy Milady. You're going to enjoy Wing Stance. You can come up with some really good builds. Go for Cold Affinity. Go for Blood Affinity. Or if you want to, you could try Heavy Affinity here and get solid damage as well. Let's jump into equipment and stats for this one. For equipment, we have Heavy Milady, plus 25 of Wing Stance. Of course, any seal for buffs. We have the Rakshasa set and Divine Beast head for some extra stats. We have Rellana's cameo, of course. Shard of Alexander. Bliston's Prosthesis. Two-handed Sword Talisman. Thorny Tier. Faith tier. Let's jump into stats. So for stats on this build, we're going to end up with 60 Vigor, 21 Mind, 28 Endurance. We have 74 Strength with the Divine Beast head. That's going to give us some extra stats, 26 Dexterity, 25 Faith with the Faith tier. Then we hit well over 51 Poise. The Rakshasa set will give us an extra damage bonus, of course. We are using Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength for our buffs. And next up at number 8, we have any medium shield and Ash combo that you like, really. For this, we're using Spinning Gravity Thrust and Blood Affinity for a lot of successive attack, damage, and bleed buildup. Medium shields are better than they ever were before, and the Brass Shield is amazing to combo with the Sword Lance. After 1.14, they hold up better, and you can get 75 guard boost with the Brass Shield. It's really, truly amazing. You're going to get broken from time to time, but overall, you could pretty much block what you need to block, take your opportunities, and wait for a chance to use your whatever Ash of War you're choosing to use, and then dish out massive damage when the time comes. I did end up taking 2 hits here. The first one probably was inevitable. The second one I shouldn't have gotten hit by overall, but I did wait for the opportunity, got in massive damage, went back to blocking, and then finished off the fight with a relatively challenging side boss. Alright, we're going to jump into equipment stats before we start to heat things up and get into a lot of damage towards the end. Some of these ones do great damage. Let's jump into equipment. And we have the Blood Sword Lance plus 25 of Spinning Gravity Thrust. We have the Brass Shield and Standard with 75 guard boost, Rakshasa set, any seal for buffs. We have Lord of Blood's Exaltation, Shard of Alexander, Bliston's Prosthesis, Great Shield Talisman, Thorny Tier, and Faith Tier. For any of the bleed build ones, you could add the White Mask for even more damage. That's probably going to be the most damage you'll be able to get out of it ultimately as far as your armor goes. We have 60 Vigor, 19 Mind, 26 Endurance, 40 Strength. We have 45 Arcane. Yeah, for me, I just don't like the White Mask. It doesn't really go with anything as far as armor sets go. We're using Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, and then we hit over 51 poise. At number 7, we have the Overhead Stance All Fire build. This is an amazing build that I've been using more and more lately. I kind of created it around using Flame Art with Overhead Stance after it was buffed in 1.14, and then added Fire Incantations to the build. I love Faith, as you know, with many of the builds I do, so I recommend trying this out if you like fire and you like Faith builds. Overall, after the buff with Rellana's cameo, you get a lot of damage out of overhead stance and a lot of damage from your fire incantations as well with the giant seal. I do get beat up at the end of this fight. The final phase, he ends up hitting me a little bit too much overall, so it goes on for a little bit of extra time, not too much. But overall, we're able to get in a pretty good amount of damage, combining Burno Flame, and then, of course, we're going to be using Overhead Stance in Flame Art and Flame of the Fell God. Difficult part about this fight is it has 3 phases pretty much no matter what, so you're stuck fighting him 3 times ultimately, and each phase kind of gets harder. I think they did a good job with the balancing here. The only thing I don't like is, though he's slow, he tends to go from one combo to the next combo, and it is a little bit deceiving when you're fighting him. And what do I mean by that? I mean, he has really slow combos and they tend to blend into each other. So looking for opportunities certain times to hit him, it can be difficult at times. And overall, trying to hit him in the head can be difficult too, because it's kind of random whether his head ends up in front of you or not. But continue to apply pressure, use overhead stance when you can, try to hold it down to get that boost from Rellana's cameo because that boost is huge, and then get in your incantations when you can as well. If you can use Burno Flame at an opportune time, at a really good time, you'll end up doing massive damage to a lot of the bigger bosses and any of the tree avatars in the game. Alright, we're going to go into the final phase where I get hit a little bit here ultimately because it's a little bit of a challenge and I mistimed some of the things, including Burno Flame there. Had I been a little bit back farther, I probably would have been able to hit him. This apparently being on the ground, that's a massive AoE that's going to hit you no matter what, and then he's going to follow up with another AoE soon. He did get in over 7,000 damage there, which was pretty nice, but this is where he ends up hitting me a little bit too much. I just mistimed some of what I was doing, and then he does this, which I forgot that it has a second explosion to it. I end up getting hit by it. Now, before we get to Moonveil and some of the other higher damage stuff on this list, I want to state that this one does have the potential for massive damage, but it's going to take a little bit of skill, getting used to using the Ash of War overhead stance and mixing that in with incantations too. In a second here, we're going to go over stats, equipment, everything you need to know for probably my favorite build on this entire list because I love Faith builds. Let's jump into equipment and stats. For equipment, we have the Flame Art, Great Katana, plus 25 with overhead stance, any seal for buffs. You can check out our armor set there. We have Rellana's Cameo, Shard of Alexander. We have Malistin's Prosthesis, Fire Scorpion Charm, Thorny Tear, and the Flame Tear too. Let's jump into stats. And for stats on this one overall, we're going to end up with 65 Faith until we're not using the Faith tier here. This is enough damage for us. 23 Dexterity, 15 Strength, 30 Endurance, 23 Mind, 60 Vigor. Over 51 Poise, Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, Burno Flame, and of course, Flame of the Fell God as well. And next up here at number 6, we have Beast Claws, which is an awesome weapon. Now you have a on-charge version of the charge attack that's really quick as of patch 1.14 and can combo into several other different attacks. Yeah, I love these now. By the way, you could use the jump to avoid certain attacks, but ultimately you throw Blood Flame Blade on these, you put them in heavy affinity, you get that A in strength scaling, and now you have that quick jump that you can combo into the Ash of War Savage Claws or your regular light attacks. Honestly, these make for a hell of a good time. I have a lot of fun with these weapons. They're really enjoyable. You can get a lot of bleed build up with Blood Flame Blade and a lot of pure physical damage based off the strength scaling it has, around 500 AR plus Blood Flame Blade, probably close to 550 or so. Alright, well, you know what time it is. In a second here, we're going to go over equipment, stats, everything you need to know for this awesome build for the Beast Claws. Let's jump into equipment. And we have the heavy Beast Claws with Blood Flame Blade, and we are using Savage Claws. Any seal for buffs, we're using the Rakshasa set. We have Malistin's Prosthesis, Wingsword Insignia, or Rotten Wingsword Insignia if you have it, Shard of Alexander, Lord of Blood's Exaltation, Thorny Tear, Faith Tear. Let's jump into stats. Once again, you could add the White Mask for even more damage. We have 60 Vigor, 22 Mind, 28 Endurance, 70 Strength, 20 Dexterity, 25 Faith with the Faith tier. We have the 10 Arcane, so you could use Blood Flame Blade. We hit well over 51 Poise with Rakshasa set, of course, and we're using Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. And at number 5, we have a Cold Guts Greatsword build. Guts Greatsword had a huge improvement in the fact that Colossal Swings on charge hits are now faster, and once again, they can combo into other attacks well and pairs well with Royal Knight's Resolve and Cold Affinity. Actually opened up a lot of PvE combos that you could do. Now, you could use your regular on-charge hit fast and then follow up with a massive hit for charge attack, or you can go into pretty much anything else, including light attacks. Everything's going to be smoother because that initial on-charge hit is faster. And we broke the dragon. We're going to go to its head, and we're going to get in a critical hit, of course. And we're going to continue to try to build up Frost here, see if we can get a Frost proc and get some massive damage here. And ultimately continue to use Guts Greatsword, the on-charge hits, and combo into everything that we can do with it. And down goes the Dragon Guts. Greatsword is always going to be good in cold affinity. Mix it with Royal Knight's Resolve and those on-charge hits into certain combos. It ends up being great. Let's jump into equipment. For equipment, we have Cold Guts Greatsword with Royal Knight's Resolve. We, of course, using any seal for buffs. We have the Rakshasa set. We have the Circlet of Light on. We have the Two-Handed Sword Talisman, Axe Talisman. We have Claw Talisman, Blade of Mercy, Spike Crack Tier, and Faith Tier. So you don't need the Circlet of Light. I was messing around with other strength builds that had innate bleed, and I needed the extra point for Arcane, which, by the way, you could use that helm for any time you need Blood Flame Blade, and you get to that 10 Arcane with a lot of classes. If you have 9 in this instance, it'll bring it to 10. Back to this build, 60 Vigor, we have 20 Mind, 30 Endurance, 60 Strength, 90 when we two-hand this. We have 21 Intelligence, 26 Faith, 10 Arcane, and then we're using Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, and of course, once again, we hit over 51 poise, and we've got a nice sturdy and powerful build. All right, my second favorite one on this list, and that is the all-kicking build. Now, if you're on Journey, this is on New Game Plus with DLC Plus. If you're on Journey 4 or 5 or later, you're going to need to add Black Flame's Protection to this, as well as Dragon Crest, and maybe even some better armor overall. This, though, is fantastic. It's an awesome build. We're going to be using Endure and those quicker kicks that you can now use after patch 1.14. So that initial kick on the charged hit when we're using Dane's Footwork will come out faster, and once again, you can combo into a lot of different things. If you combine this with Endure, you get in some charge hits, some regular on-charge fast hits too. You're going to build up successive attacks, do charged attack damage, and of course, get posture breaks in the process as well. We beat up Rellana there. That wasn't even challenging at all. It took a total of 1 try. Yeah, love the kicking combos that we now have with that faster initial kick. Once again, switch back to light attacks, go for charge attacks. It's just easier comboing things. Let's jump into equipment. And we have Dane's Blood Footwork. We have Endure on it, of course. We have any seal for buffs. We have the Rakshasa set on for good damage. Once again, you can add the White Mask, though. That would be good here. Melissen's Prosthesis, Winged Sword Insignia, or Rotten Winged Sword Insignia if you have it. Axe Talisman, Lord of Blood's Exaltation, Spike Crack Tier, and Faith Tier. All right, let's jump into stats for this one. We have 60 Vigor, 17 Mind, 28 Endurance, 30 Strength, and 30 Dexterity, 25 Faith with the Faith Tier, 45 Arcane. That's going to be for our bleed build-up. We hit over 51 poise again with Rakshasa set, and for our buffs, we're using Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. All right, what you guys were probably waiting for, let's get to the 3 best builds on here. At number 3, we have Rellana's best build. I finally came up with a build, including Terra Magica, that does massive damage with the magic portion of the Ash of War, and honestly, these weapons are pretty amazing now. And of course, we got the stance boost there because we did wait. And then look at that damage, 9,400 damage on Morgott here. That was pretty impressive. We end up getting hit here. It was a little bit surprising. His AoE goes a little further than it looks on screen. We're going to back off, though. We're going to hit him again. And once again, we end up with over 9,000 damage. Yeah, you can end up shredding with these now. They're pretty amazing. Now, the DLC bosses are going to be a little bit faster, but the damage is there now, thankfully. Rellana's Twin Blade's got a huge boost. We have them at plus 10, of course. We have any seal for buffs. We have any staff for Terra Magica. We're using the Rakshasa set. And we have the Magic Scorpion Charm. We have the Shard of Alexander. We have Rellana's Cameo. We have the Ritual Sword Talisman for more at full HP. We have Magic Tier, and we have the Faith Tier. And then we were using Market Shackle to stun the boss. And for stats on this one, we have 60 Vigor, 22 Mind, 28 Endurance, 16 Strength, 16 Dexterity. We have 55 Intelligence. We have 33 Faith. That's with the Faith Tier so that we could use Howl of Shabiri. We're also going to be using Terra Magica Golden Vow. We hit over 51 poise, and this is one you should definitely try out, especially for Intelligence users. And next one up here, number 2, we have the Sword of Night and Flame build. I did this one. I kind of redid this one as well with Terra Magica and changed my stats, optimized everything, and made it the best I could possibly make it. And it ultimately ended up doing almost 7,000 damage there. Let's see what happens here. We ended up with around 11,000 damage on 2 beams. And then the fire portion does a little bit less because we don't have a lot of faith investment. Yeah, we're more on the intelligence side because the beam is so much better. Let's jump into equipment stats, everything you need to know for an awesome Sword of Night and Flame build that can do a lot of damage. All right, and for our equipment, we have the Sword of Night and Flame plus 10 preferably. We have any staff for Terra Magic as long as you have the requirements, any seal for buffs. We're using the Rakshasa set again for the extra damage. We have the Ritual Sword Talisman, Shard of Alexander, Magic Scorpion Charm, Rellana's Cameo, Magic Tier, and the Flame Tier too. I think these are the most balanced stats I've ever had for the Sword of Night and Flame. 60 Vigor, 23 Mind. We have 20 Endurance, 12 Strength, 12 Dexterity, 50 Intelligence, 35 Faith. No Faith Tier, though. We're using Golden Vow, Howl of Shabiri, and of course, Terra Magica to boost the power of that beam, which is amazing now. All right, let's get to the last one on here, and the best build on here, the best Moonveil build I've ever come up with, pretty much is here right now. Let's do this. Let's see how much damage we get on the first hit. 9,700 damage on the Ash of War. Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. Now, I only went for 50 Vigor for this one because it was really stat heavy, splitting between the two and trying to get good damage. If you're on Journey 4 or 5 or later, though, you're going to need 60 Vigor. You can reduce your Dexterity some. I prefer to go towards the Beam and the Intelligence side. All right, before we go over stats and equipment, quick shout out to NordVPN. It's what I use to keep my browsing safer and more private, and I love their threat protection too. If you need a discount or you're looking for a discount at NordVPN, look no further. Check out the description or the pinned comment. It's an awesome deal. All right, let's jump into equipment stats, everything you need to know. I love this Moonveil build. We have Moonveil plus 10. We have any staff for Terra Magica, any seal for buffs. We're using the Divine Beast Helm for some extra stats. We have Rakshasa set on, Rellana's cameo, of course, Shard of Alexander, Magic Scorpion Charm, Melissan's Prosthesis, and then we have the Magic tier and Faith tier. All right, let's jump into stats for this one. What do we have stats-wise? We've got 50 Vigor, we have 21 Mind, 26 Endurance, we have 19 Strength, 49 Dexterity, 45 Intelligence, good split there, 33 Faith with the Faith here, so we could use Golden Vow, Howl of Shibiri, and Terra Magica. This one does massive damage. Try this one out for sure. Thanks for watching this one. Thanks for tuning in to my top 9 broken builds on patch 1.14 in Elden Ring Ranked. My next video is probably going to be the Bloodborne Beginner's Guide, and then after that, we're going to go back and probably do some theme builds as well. If you want to see any particular theme builds, be sure to comment them below, and be sure to comment your thoughts on this video and future content videos as well. I'm curious as to your thoughts. If you like any of these builds, you're going to try any of them. I will catch everyone in the next video. Have a great day.